what do we hear, especially from our allies, about this ceasefire with which they had nothing to do?
Well, the president's certainly going to be met with two different viewpoints here in Europe. You have France's Emmanuel Macron coming out and saying he thinks the U.S. strikes on Iran were illegal, even though he does believe and agrees with the United States that Iran should never have a nuclear weapon. And then you have the new German chancellor who said that what Israel did was, quote, the dirty work when it comes to the strikes on Iran, and basically saying, why should we in Germany criticize Israel or the U.S. for these strikes? So those are going to be two of the different viewpoints the president is met with. We should note, as the president is making his way here to The Hague from Washington, D.C., briefing reporters very early this morning, he seems incredibly frustrated, so much that he used an expletive when he was talking about the fact that he does not think that these two countries, Iran and Israel, have been fighting for so long and so hard, know what they're doing. He did tweet, though, that Israel will not be sending more strikes. He is trying to make sure that this ceasefire that is very fragile stays put. But that is why this conflict in the region is really going to overshadow the summit, because it is vulnerable, this ceasefire, and there's a lot of concern that potentially this could still be met with more tit-for-tat missiles between these two countries in potentially weeks to come, even if this is the start of the end of what we've seen play out over the course of the last nearly 2 weeks.
I want to meditate a little bit more on that frustration that we've seen from President Donald Trump, because he also is publicly frustrated with Israel as well. Of course, as you mentioned, he's since tweeted that, tensions will cool, at least when it comes to Israel's side. We also heard from the PM office over there saying that Israel will abstain from further strikes. But it's not often that we see Donald Trump publicly express frustration with Israel to this degree.
Yes, he's frustrated with Israel, and I believe this would stem from the fact that Israel said that Iran breached the ceasefire. So the Israeli Defense Minister, Israel Katz, came out and said the IDF will now retaliate. And what Trump was saying there is that he doesn't want to see that retaliation, and he wants their planes to come back home. But this was an interesting dialogue from the president this morning, because he wasn't just lashing out at the Iranian regime, he was also lashing out over what is going on in Israel, blaming both of these countries to be in breach of the ceasefire that he really forced together over the course of the past 24 hours.